Copy that. Thank you.
So, okay, so I'll talk about who was with us, okay?
He said something you gotta wait for finance.
So why you trying not to tell us that we have a seat every
That's what
week? Who do that? I mean, this changes Monday?
I guess. The council. You want me to pause
You sure?
this? No, I'm
If
that's
you
it.
need, if you need this call, make that call to call WNC.
Go
Yeah,
ask.
that's what I feel.
No, you know I bullshit around a lot, but he did tell me that. Yeah. Dane, I'm letting it roll. I'm gonna let it roll.
Yep, one step about it for me. Hey, folks, we're going to start shortly. We're just waiting for a couple documents and then we'll begin. My apologies. Folks, we can all go home. April Fools, I'm sorry. All right, we're starting now. So we're going to prepare 2 seconds. All right, in 2 seconds, we're going to start. Sorry for the delay.
Good morning and welcome to the New York City Council Committee on Parks and Recreation. Please do not approach the dais at any time. Keep your phone on silent mode. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Thank you. Good morning. I am Ty Hankerson, Chair of the Committee on Parks and Recreation. I'd like to welcome everyone who has come to participate in today's hearing. As many of you know, Earth Day is coming up on April 22nd. To recognize this every year, the Council typically advances various pieces of legislation that seek to deliver a healthier and more sustainable environment for all New Yorkers. Today, the Parks Committee will consider 4 bills devoted to that end. Intro 740, sponsored by myself, would require parks, along with the Department of Environmental Protection, Transportation, and other relevant agencies, to conduct a study to identify at least the top 10 community districts that have given the least green space, and to make recommendations to the mayor and council on how to increase green space, including parkland in such areas. Parks and green spaces improve mental and physical health by reducing stress and providing visitors with areas for recreation. They are crucial infrastructure, not a luxury. However, it is no surprise to anyone here that park equity remains one of the primary issues facing our city, as it has been clearly documented that in many low-income neighborhoods and communities of color, residents lack access to quality green space. Ensuring that our parks system receives the resources they need in order to achieve equity in the distribution and quality of green spaces remains one of the major challenges facing city policymakers. I think this bill will be a major step forward in providing the information we need to clearly identify the problem areas of the city, and then to focus our resources on those areas by building sorely needed green space for the New Yorkers in those neighborhoods. Next up, Intro 577, sponsored by my colleague, Councilmember James Gennaro, would help to ensure that our underdeveloped urban forests and natural areas are able to be accessed by New Yorkers for recreational activity. This legislation would require parks to formalize and maintain at least 300 miles of trails in a way that those trails are prioritized to connect the maximum amount of natural areas to New Yorkers and improve access by low and moderate income communities to those natural areas. The Parks Department would also have to publish and update the maps of those trails on its website. Next, we have 2 bills sponsored by my other colleague from Queens, Councilmember Phil Wong. First is Intro 805. This bill would build on legislation we passed last year, Local Law 152, on creating a cool pavement pilot program. During hot days, overheating and hydration can be an issue for people of all ages, with dark-colored asphalt pavements contributing to the urban heat island effect. Light-colored asphalt and other types of cool pavements, on the other hand, can help reduce that effect. This bill would require parks, along with DP and DOT, to conduct a study and pilot program on the use of cool pavement materials on locations with various parks and playgrounds. Parks would then be required to post the results of the study and pilot on its website. And finally, Intro 806 would create a more formal structure for overseeing wildlife issues that face the city. Despite its reputation as being a concrete jungle, the city is actually a habitat to hundreds of animal species that live in the wild. In recent years, for reasons that likely have to do with our efforts to expand green space and effects resulting from climate change, sightings of various forms of wildlife have been reported. With more wildlife interactions, the possibility of disease spread, property damage, and physical confrontations can become more common. Many have argued that there needs to be more effort in managing and studying the city's wildlife populations to better promote human-wildlife coexistence. Specifically, this bill would create a wildlife management advisory board to develop a wildlife management plan. It would also analyze wildlife management issues and recommend policies to preserve and promote biological diversity and the humane treatment of wildlife. I'm curious to explore these bills today and engage with what members of the Parks Department and the public have to say regarding them. Thank you again and welcome. Now I'll turn it over to our committee counsel, Actually, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Councilmember Phil Wong.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Today we're considering two bills of mine which reflect the city's responsibility to improving its environmental and the well-being of its people. The first bill will create a cool pavement pilot program for parks and playgrounds in heat-vulnerable areas. Our children deserve to play in places that will not subject them to uncomfortable or even dangerous levels of heat. And this bill will begin to make that a reality. The second bill, Intro 806, will create a citywide wildlife management program. This long overdue program will give the city a shared mission for our wildlife, benefiting residents, communities, and ecosystems alike. The passage of these two bills is crucial for this city. I would like to extend my thanks to Chair Hankerson for hearing these bills, to the council staff for working so hard to get them moving, and to the administration for coming to speak to us today. I hope we can have a productive conversation regarding any changes that will maintain the bill's mission of improving the well-being of our animals and people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I want to acknowledge my other colleagues that are here, Council members Morano, Ong, Narcisse, Marte, and obviously Phil Wong, who we just heard from. I did say Councilmember Ong. I did, yes. With that, I will turn it over to Committee Counsel, Chris Satori, to swear in the members of the Parks Department.
Thank you, Chair. Would the representatives of the Parks Department please raise your right hand if you're able? Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee and to respond honestly to council member questions?
I do.
Thank you, and you may begin when ready. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Hankerson, members of the Parks Committee, and other members of the City Council. I am Marit Larson, the Acting Deputy Commissioner for Environment and Planning at New York City Parks, and I'm pleased to be joined by our Chief of Education and Wildlife, Sarah Aquin, as well as our Chief of Citywide Legislative Affairs, Matt Drury. Thank you for having us here today to discuss the legislation being considered. Four environmentally themed bills related to nature trails, wildlife management, cool pavement, and the availability of green and open space around the city. As the 56th annual celebration of Earth Day approaches later this month, we appreciate the Council's focus on sustainability, eco-friendly practices, and we're proud to be the agency tasked with managing, planning, and growing our city's green spaces in a responsible and thoughtful manner. For each of the topics that the legislation touched upon, we'd like to provide some background context about the agency's approach and ongoing efforts to deliver for New Yorkers. Starting with Intro 577, this legislation would require New York City Parks to improve, formalize, or create 300 miles of trails within 3 years of the effective date of the bill. 1/3 of the acreage under our jurisdiction consists of natural areas, totaling over 12,000 acres of parkland. These unique spaces are located all across New York City and are most abundant in the Bronx, Queens, and Staten Island. These parks have a legacy of protection and preservation rather than development and are now home to abundant plant and animal biodiversity, including rare and threatened and endangered species. As part of a social research study, the Natural Areas Conservancy and the U.S. Forest Service interviewed New Yorkers that were visiting natural areas and found that almost 20% of these New Yorkers relied exclusively on that local park for access to nature. This is one example of how we know our local natural areas are extremely valuable for passive recreation, environmental education, and mental well-being. Nature trails are the primary way to access these unique spaces, and our trail formalization work is an attempt to make them more inviting and welcoming to all New Yorkers. In recent years, with the help and support of our incredible park partners and volunteer stewards, New York City Parks staff mapped and assessed over 450 miles of trails running throughout our natural areas, many of which were confusing, circuitous, redundant, and in poor condition. This formalization process includes corridor pruning to maintain trail width, invasive species removal to maintain a healthy forest, and building of approximately 250 trail structures each year to help prevent erosion and increase the safety and enjoyment of trail users. Within the next year, we anticipate having delivered over 300 miles of formalized high-quality nature trails for the public, transforming the city's trail network from confusing and redundant to clearly marked and legible. And useful maps for all these trails are available to the public on our agency website. Though this formalization effort has resulted in fewer trails, the trails that remain are now of higher quality and more likely to be enjoyed by the surrounding communities. Given the robust trail network currently available to the public within our park's natural areas, we believe the legislation proposed to mandate to improve or create 300 miles of additional trails within natural areas is impractical, but we would be happy to work with the council to explore potential improvements to the information regarding our trail system that is available to the public. We appreciate the intent to offer New Yorkers more options to exploring our natural areas and are happy to partner to explore ways to make sure even more New Yorkers can enjoy this incredible access to natural areas, though, of course, the agency's finite resources should primarily focus on maintaining and caring for the trail network that already exists. Turning to Intro 740, this bill would require New York City Parks in consultation with other city agencies to conduct a study to identify at least the top 10 community districts that lack the most green space and to make recommendations to the mayor and council on how to increase green space, including parkland, in such areas. We're proud to be the agency tasked with planning, managing, and growing our city's green and open spaces in a responsible and thoughtful manner, and ensuring that New Yorkers have access to open space is a major part of our core mission. Parks are essential urban infrastructure that provide respite for New Yorkers and protect us from the growing threats of climate change. And we do our best to carefully track and inventory public open spaces across the city, including property that is not directly under our jurisdiction. The city's One NYC strategic plan, released in 2015, established a target of having 85% of New York City residents living within a walking distance of a park by 2030, and we're currently at 84.2%. The 0.8% difference representing roughly 63,000 people without close access to open space. This underlying data-driven goal helps guide our efforts to create and improve green and open space around the city and allows us to identify underserved areas in terms of their open space ratio, which reflects access to public open space in relation to a population within a given neighborhood or community district. This open space ratio is essential data metrics informing our recently launched Walk to Park neighborhood ULURP effort. Historically, the agency has only been able to pursue parkland acquisition on a case-by-case basis, learning of specific opportunities with willing sellers through happenstance, which in some cases were in neighborhoods that were already had significant access to open space. Through this new proactive strategic effort, we've identified community districts with lower open space ratios and are proactively assessing privately owned sites for acquisition opportunities on a neighborhood-wide scale. 2 community district-based ULURP applications were approved in December 2025 in Queens Community District 3 and Brooklyn Community District 5, and another is undergoing the city's ULURP approval process in Queens Community District 2. We're working on outreach to private owners within these districts in hopes of identifying willing sellers and are planning to submit additional ULURP applications in other high-need districts in the near future. Similarly, this data-driven approach allows us to help advise New York City public schools in their ongoing effort to identify schoolyards in neighborhoods with less access to open space, which can potentially be open to the public outside of school hours. This Schoolyards to Playgrounds initiative has been a great success, and we very much appreciate New York City Public Schools' partnership in this ongoing effort. With all that in mind, New York City Parks is very appreciative of the underlying intent of Intro 740, and we look forward to working with Council to determine how to best achieve the goals of this bill. As we've discussed today, the analysis of public access to green and open space is very much guiding our operational strategies as an agency, and we'd be happy to discuss the best way to make that information available to the public in a digestible and useful manner. We do have some technical concerns with the legislation as it's currently drafted, namely proposed mandate to assess the capital condition of every green space in the city, including properties that are not under Parks jurisdiction, which would be infeasible for the agency to pursue. Assessment of the capital needs in any given property is a highly complex and technical exercise, often requiring detailed analysis, including subsurface site borings, and a mandate of this sort would be massively time-consuming and resource-intensive undertaking. Moving to Intro 805, this would require New York City Parks, in consultation with the Department of Environmental Protection, the Department of Transportation, and the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, to conduct a pilot program concerning the installation of cool pavement materials on parks and playgrounds. New York City Parks implements a variety of methods to mitigate heat vulnerability on our sites. Our capital division incorporates design principles into our park renovation projects, including converting existing pavement to vegetative areas, building rain gardens, and using permeable pavers, applying color coat seal on large asphalt areas, using lighter colors for safety service tiles, and of course, preserving our existing tree canopy and planting new trees. We use lighter color reflective roofing materials whenever appropriate, and our citywide services team oversees the largest portfolio of green roofs of any city agency, having installed nearly 300,000 square feet of green roof over 42 parks facilities. We're pleased to report that pursuant to Local Law 152, passed by City Council last year, DOT is actively planning a 2-year pilot to install cool pavement in locations around the city, which include pedestrian open spaces such as plazas and triangles. We look forward to working closely with DOT as they kick off their cool pavement pilot later this year, but we do not believe that a parallel park-specific pilot should be implemented at this time until the results of the DOT pilot can be comprehensively assessed. Lastly, Intro 806 would require the creation of a Wildlife Management Advisory Board to develop a citywide wildlife management plan to analyze wildlife management issues and recommend policies to preserve and promote biological diversity and the humane treatment of wildlife. We very much appreciate the intent of this legislation and are happy to work with the Council and the Mayor's Office of Animal Welfare to discuss the best ways to achieve the goals of the bill. As some visitors may be surprised to learn, but most New Yorkers know very well, our city's urban wildlife is actually quite abundant and diverse. Some species thrive in close proximity to New Yorkers, creating both management challenges and opportunities for education and research. At the same time, other species are negatively impacted by urbanization, including endangered species and protected migratory birds that require targeted conservation efforts. New York City Parks Wildlife Unit was established in 2016 to address these dynamics, promote coexistence between people and urban wildlife, and serve as an informed resource for the public and as an ambassador for the city's wildlife. We'd like to briefly outline a few examples of how this work is currently being done. The Wildlife Unit works to educate New Yorkers and support safe coexistence between people and wildlife across the city. For example, coyotes naturally inhabit urban green spaces. This can occasionally lead to negative encounters. Game cameras are used to monitor their distribution and behavior, allowing targeted outreach to communities and staff to ensure the safety of both people and animals. The long-term survival of species like coyotes in our city depends on public understanding and perception. In 2025, the Wildlife Unit reached over 1,000 people through educational programs promoting coexistence. The city's non-lethal deer impact management plan was launched in 2016 to combat negative impacts of the overabundant deer population on Staten Island. Under the direction of City Hall, the plan is a coordinated multi-agency effort involving New York City Parks and numerous partners. Working closely with the Mayor's Office of Animal Welfare and our Wildlife Unit manages a contract allowing the humane sterilization of deer and oversees data collection and analysis for the program, tracking deer vehicle collisions, tick-borne disease, and forest impacts, and sharing program results with the public each year through the interactive story map report. As of project year 9, we're pleased to note the deer vehicle collision reports have decreased by 83% since the program's inception, and Lyme disease cases on Staten Island have declined. The Wildlife Unit is also leading a wildlife conservation project to monitor active nest sites of rodent-consuming raptors, such as red-tailed hawks. In 2025, a total of 68 raptor nests were monitored citywide, helping inform New York City Parks' pest management practices with the goal of reducing secondary rodenticide poisoning in wildlife. Working in close coordination with New York City Health Department, New York City Parks supports public safety through ongoing education, disease surveillance, and interagency collaboration, including efforts to prevent rabies in wildlife populations and track emerging diseases such as avian influenza. Those interested in learning more can visit visit the city's Wildlife NYC website, a valuable resource for New Yorkers to learn more about wildlife that live across the 5 boroughs. Visitors can also find events that celebrate wildlife and even report their sightings of healthy wildlife. New Yorkers have submitted over 4,000 sightings, documenting everything from hawks to raccoons to coyotes. These reports provide New York City parks with important insight into wildlife activity and help identify where issues may emerge in the future. Lastly, we're always looking for opportunities to partner with the City Council and engage with your constituents, so please reach out and let us know if our wildlife unit can help lead an information session on a specific issue of interest. I hope our testimony today, as demonstrated, New York City Parks is proud to be New York's greenest agency. Thank you for allowing us to testify before you today and for your continued advocacy and support of our city parks. We're happy now to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much. I'll start off with some questions, and I'll just hand it over to my colleagues to ask additional questions. In regards to Intro 740, aside from Mayor Mamdani's recent announcement regarding the expansion of the Community Parks Initiative, CPI, how many projects have been completed since its inception in 2014?
Thank you for the question. The Community Parks Initiative is Parks' first equity-driven investment program to bring enhanced green spaces into underserved neighborhoods. And through this initiative, we're using both data-driven methodology and working closely with communities to create thriving public spaces. In total, we have 127 CPI sites. We've completed 70 CPI sites with another 57 active projects underway.
Thank you. Is the administration open to securing more funding to expand CPI even further?
Thank you for the question. We have, since the fall of 2021, $425 million in baseline mayoral capital funding for continuing the program beginning then. We've then therefore got $50 million annually to complete renovations in 10 sites per year for the next 10 years, and very much look forward to continuing that work.
Thank you. I just want to go back to something you mentioned in your testimony. And pardon me if I misheard. Did you say that 0.8% out of the 85% goal 63 represents 63 people without close access to parks? Is that what you said?
63,000.
63,000. Okay, I'm like, okay, 63. That's it. Thank you. And is that in a particular neighborhood, or is that just across the city?
That's across the city.
Thank you. Is the idea of funding parks through property tax revenue a tax increment finance district or special park district, as is done in other cities such as Chicago, a viable one for New York City? Is that solution viable for New York City?
Thanks for the question, Chair. We're open. Parks Department is always open to. There's been a lot of interest and excitement about the needs of parks in this city, and we're delighted to take part in those conversations. Speaking to the specific funding models of that sort, is a conversation we're happy to take part in. I don't think we're prepared at this time to kind of opine, and obviously we want to do that in consultation with OMB and a lot of other mayor's office stakeholders. But we're very intrigued and interested in a lot of the creative approaches that have been taken place across the country, and we think there's a lot to learn.
Has Parks actually considered it, or it hasn't really been top of mind?
I'm not aware that funding model could be implemented by the agency at its own discretion. I believe that would require, I think there are other regulatory and policy steps that would need to be put into place. So I wouldn't say we have contemplated it, because I don't, it is going to, if it were to happen, it would have to require a series of more complicated discussions and policy decisions. So I can't say that we've, planned, but we're aware of the interest in both that funding model and others, and it's something we're watching very closely.
Okay, that's good to know. Are any other conservancies being planned for the near future that would run and maintain any of DPR's parks?
Yeah, thanks for the question. We're very proud of our partnership with organizations, some of which range in size, from small, sort of informal, what we call friends of parks groups, civic associations all over the city, to larger, conservancies, formal conservancies that have license agreements with the city. And today, I'm not aware of any sort of new conservancies that are coming online, so to speak. But we definitely are in a series of conversations with groups that are growing in capacity, that are very interested in playing a formalized role. And there's a lot of different ways to go about those structures, and we want to make sure that it'll serve the park best. And obviously, in terms of each group is different, has different capacity, different interests. Each park is different. That may be assisted by such a group. So those conversations, there are dozens, if not more, of groups that are out there growing and providing great value, and and we're in discussions about formalizing several of those agreements in a variety of fashions, but nothing to announce today that we would say is kind of coming online.
I guess as a follow-up to that, does parks encourage such organizing?
We certainly encourage New Yorkers to get involved in their parks, and that can happen in a variety of ways, from informal, volunteer groups to, frankly, just park visitors, cleaning up after themselves, right? There's a lot of different ways that people can support their local park. There are great organizations that have grown over time and are doing incredible work in our parks, and we very much value those partnerships for sure.
But particularly friends groups and conservancies, does park encourage the formation of those type of organizations?
We do. We don't see it as a necessity, but it is an incredible engagement tool to make sure that New Yorkers are interested in their parks, and we found it's very helpful. Folks, it's nice to have an entity to kind of point them to, right? Something that has some structure around it. We do find that we don't think it's a necessity by any means. There are incredible parks in this in our system that don't have a formalized group attached to it, and that's fine as well.
Is it helpful in terms of maintenance?
It can be.
Yeah.
It certainly can be, but we're obviously dedicated to keeping our parks clean in the best condition possible, regardless of whether there's a group or not.
Thank you. What efforts has DPR engaged in to determine which areas of the city are in the most need of green space?
Thank you for that question, Chair. As we mentioned in our testimony, we're proud to be the agency tasked with planning and managing and growing our green space. And we do that by carefully assessing where there is need across the city. As I mentioned, in 2015, the city began with, under the One NYC, a strategy to identify how we could reduce the number of New Yorkers that were not within a walking distance to parks. Again, that goal of achieving 85% of New Yorkers that are within a walking distance to parks by 2030 was really the driver to be able to assess what state we're in now and how we achieve that goal. We look citywide at the data on open space. We look at the open space across not just our property, but other entities as well. And with that, we come up with, we're able to assess where the gaps are, and it's really that approach that's allowed us to identify where there are needs. So in addition to this Walk to Park initiative, we have also zeroed in on a strategy to try to ensure that we are poised to be able to then implement additional open space to take advantage of opportunities as they arrive. So that's our community-based ULURP initiative, our neighborhood ULURP program. And through that program, we identified 19 council community districts across the city that had both a large populations above a certain threshold, open space needs, ratios below a certain threshold, and or a percent poverty that indicated need for investment. And that with that program, that's one of the main ways in which we are assessing where there's need for green space and how we can actually get to closing those gaps.
And have you published the data from your findings?
We currently have succeeded in going through ULURP for 2 of the community districts, and so that was a public process through which we go through ULURP, and I think we've shared all of that information with each of the districts as we go through that process. And we're now steadily working towards the rest of the community districts and are currently focusing on Queens Community District 2.
I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the presence of Councilmember Salam, P. Sanchez, and Councilmember Krishnan. What areas of the city does DPR see as being the most, in the most need of open and green space?
Thank you for the question, Chair. We have priority community districts that meet this criteria of really being in most need of closing these walk to park gaps. In the Bronx, community districts 9, 11, and 12. In Brooklyn, 5, 7, 11, 12, 14, 15, and 17.
I'm sorry, can you just say just a little slow?
Very, very happy to share this information with you,
Okay.
obviously, after the hearing. Brooklyn is 5, 7, 11, 12, 14, 15, and 17.
By chance, do you know what those neighborhoods are?
They span quite a bit. I know Marine Park is, I believe, one of them in that district, but we can certainly get you a map
Okay.
and show you those neighborhoods.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Queens districts 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, and 12. And Staten Island is District 1.
Okay. We have some work to do. Aside from developing or renovating parks and playgrounds or planting trees, what are some of the other efforts DPR has engaged in over the years to help bring green space to neighborhoods that are in need?
Thank you for that question. Yes, in addition to the Walk to Park program and the Neighborhood ULIP program, we look for opportunities to partner with other organizations and agencies to provide access to parks and open spaces whenever we can. One of our most successful programs has been the schoolyard to playground collaboration with both non-agency partners and with, of course, the public schools. We've also worked in rezonings with our partners at the Department of City Planning to make sure that we're able to take opportunities to identify any new needs that come and be able to plan for the access needed for future New Yorkers and work with privately operated public space owners when that's appropriate as well. We're also always in the process of making sure that the open spaces that we do have are well programmed, making them even more accessible and inviting. And in natural areas in particular, for example, we've really focused on stewardship and providing hundreds of events every year to get people out to their open spaces, and with that we've been able to engage thousands of volunteers per year.
Thank you. Final two questions from me, and then I'll turn it over to my colleagues. The council passed a slightly related bill in 2022, Local Law 10 of 2023, which required DPR with other appropriate agencies to review city-owned sites on streets with dead end and land that abuts highway entrances, underpasses, and exits that are land that is suitable for the planting of trees or other vegetation or creating green spaces. The report required from that bill was due in 2024, but has still not been submitted. Can you share an update on when that will be completed?
Yeah, we want to thank you, Councilmember, for bringing this to our...
Councilmember Krishnan's bill.
Yes, very much so. Thanks for bringing this to our attention. The local law did require that an agency or office designated by the mayor would consult with all the the various entities that you mentioned, DEP, DOT, DCAS, including parks, to undertake this site review. We're actually not able to speak to the status. I'm not aware that an entity was indeed designated by the previous administration, so we're going to need to but our colleagues are aware of the status of this, so we appreciate this having been brought to our attention, and we'll try to get you an update as soon as we can.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Wong.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I'm reading the statement here from the Parks Department, and it says that we look forward to work closely with DOT as they kick off their cool pavement pilot later this year, but we do not believe that a parallel park-specific pilot should be implemented at this time until the results of the DOT pilot can be comprehensively assessed. Now, I understand that DOT is also doing this, but Parks covers different spaces. Why are we waiting for DOT's program when Parks can start identifying parks and playgrounds that are heat islands? Very specifically, playgrounds, and work to reduce that. It gives away responsibility, or it kicks the can down the road for another commissioner to deal with. Can you respond to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, council member. And again, to be very clear, Parks is doing a lot of work to reduce heat island effect in a variety of different ways that we also mentioned in our testimony, including greening spaces that were within our, and including using lighter colored tiles for our safety surface. We're very mindful of that. This specific technical exercise, the cool pavement piece, DOT, we're working very, very closely with them. They are looking at spaces, incorporating spaces that we believe are actually commensurate or quite comparable to what we would consider park type spaces, plazas, pedestrian areas, what have you. And we think there's going to be a lot to learn from those efforts. So we're very dedicated to reducing heat island effect in all of our, through greening, through planting, and those efforts will continue. And on a parallel path, as the city undergoes this pilot as required by last year's law, we think there's going to be a lot of, great lessons to learn. We're already working closely with DOT. They're aware of the interest in making sure that there are, comparable lessons that can be sort of gleaned from their exercise will be involved, and we're looking very closely at that exercise.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that this bill 805 targets playgrounds and land under the jurisdiction of the DPR.
Yes,
that's not DOT's jurisdiction.
Correct.
Yes.
However, we would suggest that undertaking two separate pilots to achieve a similar goal is not the sort of coordination and thoughtful use of resources that the city deserves. So we believe that there's a lot to be learned from the pilot that's already required by law. There will be space. Our understanding is DOT is still going through their site selections, but we believe there will be sites that are chosen that will provide helpful intelligence for us to learn from and to adopt and to pursue on our own merits. And we look forward to kind of learning from that.
How much time do I have? I still have time. Okay, yeah. No, I just want to be clear. Does the Parks Department have the goal of reducing dangerous heat that children may be subjected to while spending time in parks and playgrounds?
Yes, very much. And as we described in our testimony, there's a variety of efforts that the agency undertakes to address that very concern.
Then is the Parks Department supportive of projects that reduce dangerous heat children may be subject to while spending time in parks and playgrounds?
We are, and we implement them constantly.
Wait, then what is the issue with the bill here that you seem that you're not?
The issue is that the city is going to be undergoing a cool pavement pilot in coordination, led by DOT, but in coordination with multiple agencies. We believe that parallel pilots as a general management strategy is inadvisable.
All right, then did the Parks Department recommend changes? Why did the Parks Department recommend changes that almost completely erase the bill that reduces the heat in parks and playgrounds?
In coordination, first of all, this is a dialogue that's happening with our partners at DOT, with the law department, with the mayor's office. And we believe, and we're happy to discuss this with you and your team, we believe that, for the bill to advance, we'd be interested in seeing incorporating more language to work with the law that's been enacted, as opposed to creating a wholly separate and parallel process.
All right. The change, I looked at the edits, the changes that the administration recommended gives me the impression that you do not want to improve the well-being of the children.
Well, I can assure you, sir, that's incorrect. We very much care about the well-being and safety of all New Yorkers, including our children.
Right. Well, recommendations to help this city implement a program that makes it a safer and more comfortable place are welcome. Shirking responsibility is not welcome, and then I feel that after reading your edits.
Well, we're sorry you feel that way. We'd like to continue the conversation. As I think our testimony made clear, uh, this agency is not shirking any responsibility, but we do want to move forward in exploring new avenues in a thoughtful and efficient manner.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Narcisse.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for being here. I love parks, so I wish we can bring the money up. But my question gonna be around the dogs around our park. Does the department track dog waste complaints separately from general park cleanliness complaints? And if so, what does that data show over the last 3 to 5 years? And how many 311 calls or complaints have been submitted specifically related to dog waste in the parks? And is the number trending up or down? How many fines have been issued to dog owners for failure to clean up waste in the parks annually? You know, I love parks, so that's the reason I'm asking those.
No, it's a great
This is
question,
important.
and we appreciate it, council member. I think there's been a lot of dialogue about the challenges. We heard a lot. There's a lot of press coverage and a lot of community dialogue about dog waste problems all over the city, including sidewalks and our partners at sanitation. We want to really strongly encourage all New Yorkers. We all love our pets, our dogs, but we do need to be cleaning up after them properly. So we encourage all New Yorkers, obviously, to do that. You mentioned, so I'll clarify that dog waste is very much a data point that is included in our comprehensive parks inspection program. So to be clear, this is a rigorous, comprehensive, deep dive, if you will, inspection of parks that's taken randomly, and it is conducted separately from our maintenance and operations team. So it's similar to what you might, if you ever worked in retail, they have secret shopper sort of campaigns. So it's similar in that. They're independent visits, and they're very, very detailed, and dog waste is very much a data point that can lead to the passing or failure of a given inspection. So I don't have those data points on hand at the moment, but we can certainly provide historical data about dog waste as a data point in parks in your district or wherever. Similarly, we can get you information about the summons that are issued by our parks enforcement patrol officers. That's something, whether it's dogs off leash or dog waste concerns, that's something we can definitely, we should be able to get you data on that. And if I'm
So you don't have the data for me, okay?
on dog
because I
on
want to
dog
know
waste,
where we
no,
at.
I don't. Yeah, it's
Because in a greenery, very beautiful park, you take your kids to run in the park and lay down. You don't want this to be a problem.
We agree
It's a
100%.
big problem.
It's something we take very, very seriously. It can be obviously very detrimental to the experience of anyone who's ever closely encountered it on your shoes or what have you. It's very unpleasant. Obviously, it's something we take seriously, and we're happy to get you the more detailed data and metrics on that following this hearing.
All right. I have a few others, but I think the thing that I'm looking at the parks where we have 63,000, I believe, people not really having good access. And when I look at them, and especially in Community Board 17 and District 58, we only have one little park and it's concrete. So I'm talking about the whole area. In Community Board 18, the same thing. I'm shocked to see that, in South Side of Brooklyn, closer to the belt, all along we have parks, but in the middle, we don't have nothing going on. And what's the plan to improve in those areas in terms of green spaces? Do you have any plan for those areas? It's almost zero green space.
Thank you very much for the question, Councilmember. We are continuing through primarily this program right now, our neighborhood ULURP, to go systematically through the city, looking based on the data we have on open space, residents, and other indicators, and another indicator of percent poverty, to look at where there are gaps that are priorities to fill. We certainly are very willing to look at other places and opportunities. We've always been open to trying to opportunistically look for opportunities. It's this our neighborhood ULIP program, however, will set us up in a community district to be able to take action when there are willing sellers and when there are opportunities. So between that and also looking at when there are rezonings and when there are partnerships with our public schools, those are some of our primary tools to make sure that in dense neighborhoods we ensure that there's as much access to open space as possible.
Yeah. And now, probably a little off topic, we don't have no community centers. Coming to park, we don't have no greenery. What we do, what's the plan to have community centers throughout our communities? And that's a kind of like you can build it with the greenery on top. So, Chair, I know you look at that. That's one of the problem, and that problem I call it penny wise dollar foolish, because when those kids don't have nothing to do, idle hands and idle mind, you know what the is it devil whatever they use it, but we need to be using preventive approach, not letting those kids to be trapped in the system that they should not be. So if we have places like centers, are you promoting community centers like Shirley Chisholm? We only have one for so many decades, and y'all proud, some folks are proud to say, oh, we haven't had for so many years, but I think we're failing our youth, because that's where they're supposed to be in the first place. Any plan in your light? Because I know I'm talking about one to be in where we have a lot of gun violence that happen. So I feel like we should be focusing on those kind of inner green, like how could I put it? You can use the rooftop for greenery, you can use the surrounding area, and I think that we should be focused on that. Any plan on that when it comes to community centers?
Yeah, thanks for the question, council member. And we love our recreation centers. They are a cornerstone of our of the facilities that offer incredible engagement and recreation and health opportunities, not just for our children, but adults, senior citizens. The membership rates are free for anyone age 24 and younger. They're extremely affordable for senior citizens, persons with disabilities, military veterans, and even at its even the base level is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars cheaper than your typical chain fitness club. So we're very, very proud of our facilities. We're very excited to open to Shirley Chisholm. It's been a huge hit. The local community has, and we're happy to be. We'll be opening up an additional 3 or 4 over the next couple years. Mary Callie Dalton in Staten Island, Soundview in the Bronx. And I'll note that that effort, which began several years ago, because it is a time-consuming and resource-intensive effort. These are state-of-the-art facilities that, with construction in New York City, it won't be any surprise, can cost, $150 million. Like, these are major investments, but necessary investments. As you say, a preventative approach to engaging youth and, saving at the end of the day, possibly millions and millions and millions of dollars of healthcare, the criminal justice system, like you name it, like all those other impacts that can happen. We believe that our centers are a vital and a wise investment. So we're excited to be advancing the projects that are going to be coming online. We're always looking for more opportunities. I know you've been very keenly, you've been a vocal and energetic advocate for a center in your district. That's something we want to continue that conversation. It is a serious investment that requires the provision of a lot of resources, and that can be a complicated conversation, but it's one we're very, very, excited to have.
I love complicated conversation. I'm a registered nurse and ER nurse. So let's have it for the kids to prevent them from getting in the cycle that they should not be in the first place. So thank you, Chair. Thank you.
I do have one follow-up question to Councilmember Narcisse's line of questioning. Do you have any buildings with green space designed on the top of the building by chance?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Chair. We do. We at about 41 or 42 of our parks facilities, some of which are just sort of parks, M&O facilities or what have you. We have several green roofs that absorb rainwater. Broadly speaking, they are, and they also help with heating costs, cooling costs, things of that nature. Happy to give you a tour of some of our facilities and show some of the great work that's happened.
Okay, I do have some follow-up questions, but I don't want to take up too much time. I'm going to jump to Councilmember Morano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you both for your testimony. And as a representative of the Borough of Parks, thank you for all the work you're doing for the parks of our city. In your testimony, Deputy Commissioner, you said the mandate to create 300 miles of trails is impractical and that resources should focus on maintaining existing trails. How many miles of trails today are currently in poor condition or not properly maintained, and what would it cost to fix them?
Thank you for that question, Council Member. And the trails in Staten Island are particularly wonderful. We have already formalized 275 miles of trail across the city. As I mentioned in our testimony, we have mapped trails of all sorts of conditions to the extent of about 450 miles. So our process of going through park by park to really look at what the best and safest network of trails is for every location involves essentially screening out those trails that are not in good condition, that are not safe, that are perhaps duplicate or redundant, but that don't serve the public. And that's how we essentially got to our goal of formalizing 300 trails. So we're actually quite aligned. We have a goal of formalizing 300 miles of trails to run in our natural system, natural areas, and we think we'll be able to achieve that this year. By the end of 2027 or by 2027, we hope to have all of those formalized trails actually updated on our parks website.
You noted that natural areas are most abundant in the Bronx, Queens, and Staten Island. Of the 300 miles of formalized trails that you say are being delivered, how many miles are actually in Staten Island? Sure.
Thank you for the question. It's a great question. I don't actually believe I have that number handy, and we're happy to provide that that after the hearing.
That would be great. Thank you. You rely heavily on in discussing Intro 740, you rely heavily on the walk to a park metric and say that 84.2% of New Yorkers have access. Does that metric account for the quality, safety, or usability of those parks, or is it just distance on a map?
Thank you for the question. We fundamentally, at Parks, of course, are always concerned about the quality and condition of our parks. So we expect every park to meet a certain standard and work on a daily basis to achieve that. The metric looks at access to a park that for the full given hours of a park period. So an open space wouldn't count in a community garden, for example, that's closed to the public for a given time. So in general, the conditions of our parks really meet our agency standard when we're accounting for them.
Councilmember Wong asked you guys about Intro 805, and you mentioned a pilot program on cool pavement and said expansion shouldn't happen just yet. How much has been spent on that pilot so far, and what specific benchmarks need to be met before you move forward or abandon it?
Yeah, it's a good question. We're happy to get our understanding from our colleagues at DOT is that they're still in the planning stages. The bill was passed, I believe, late last year, and I believe they're expecting to kick off the pilot, which by law I think was anticipated to last 2 years, I believe, and I believe they're supposed to kick off in the fall.
And finally, for Intro 806, the wildlife plan, you already described an existing wildlife unit doing education, monitoring, and management. What specifically would this bill require that isn't already happening today, and what would be the additional cost?
Thanks for the question, Councilmember, and I may ask our Chief of Education and Wildlife to correct me if I mischaracterize anything. But what the bill contemplates is the creation of an advisory board of numerous members, including the Parks Department. But because wildlife, our management efforts are pretty strictly focused on property that's under our jurisdiction. 30,000 acres, plenty, and there is certainly as you heard, a lot of wildlife the presence of wildlife is throughout our park system. What the bill seems to contemplate is the creation of an advisory board that takes a citywide sort of perspective and creates a plan. So you're asking a very good question about the cost of that. I think it's going to be hard for us to. I'm not sure we're quite aware of that at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. We're going to jump to Councilmember Salon.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your testimony so far. I want to go into Intro 805 as well. Community districts with the highest heat vulnerability indexes and low median income have often have playgrounds and court surfaces that are heavily used year-round by residents who lack access to private recreational spaces or air conditions. Can the department commit to ensuring that Manhattan pilot sites are located in neighborhood tabulation areas that meet both heat and income thresholds and have the highest recreational surface usage and foot traffic?
Thanks for the question, Council Member. And as we noted in our testimony, we undergo a lot of interventions to reduce, the sort of heat vulnerability. Not the least of which is obviously our planting strategy all over the city, including within parks, but also in our playgrounds, for example, using color treatments, of a lighter color, or using safety service of lighter colored tiles. Those are things we very much, are very committed to and advancing. As for the pilot itself, my recollection is that the DOT pilot, which is already required by law, I believe there is a metric where they are, I believe, directed to prioritize high heat vulnerability neighborhoods. But I don't want to misspeak, so I can double check on that. But my understanding is that's very much part of the guiding principle for that pilot.
Sure, absolutely. And going into 806, in dense communities where parks are heavily used and bordered by high-density residential buildings, residents face persisting wildlife-related challenges, including rat infestations in and around parks. In designated rat mitigation zones, 85% of park property failed initial inspection despite significant investments. Will this wildlife management plan address rat and rodent management alongside charismatic species like coyotes and raptors? And how will the plan prioritize community-level public health concerns?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Council Member. And I think obviously this city is, taking rat mitigation efforts very, very seriously. Parks has a dedicated team working closely with Department of Health and the Mayor's office. And there's been significant funding added for targeted teams on the park side to help address some of those concerns for sure. And we always want to hear about that and address it as timely as possible. As to whether that aspect would be incorporated, it's hard for us to contemplate what this theoretical advisory board will or won't consider. So, respectfully, it's hard. I don't think we want to speculate what they will or won't include.
Well, we definitely want those included, of course. Going into Intro 740, does DPR currently have internal data on green space per capita at the community district levels? Trust for Public Land data shows that neighborhoods of color have 44% less nearby park spaces and low-income areas have 38% less than high-income areas. Can the department share preliminary findings on which Manhattan community districts fall furthest below the CEQR standard of 2.5 acres per 1,000 residents?
Thank you for the question, Council Member. I don't have that data with us. The community districts that we are focusing on don't happen to include Manhattan, but we can certainly look at the data that we have for that district and share that with you.
And also for community districts with higher population density and lower green space per capita, what strategies beyond traditional parkland acquisition has DPR explored? Specifically, has the department evaluated partnerships with Nycc to activate the approximately 2,400 acres of Nycc open space or expansion of schoolyard to playground programs, which converted 266 schoolyards citywide at $111 million?
I'll just start on the Nycc front, just to, that we've actually worked in close consultation with them on a variety of different efforts, including helping formalize some of their community garden spaces. Now, as Deputy Commissioner noted, that doesn't technically impact our Walk to a Park score, but we still think it's an important, effort that obviously helps beautify and engage, the local residents. And, we've been very, very proud to work with Nycc on that. And I believe we also have numerous playgrounds and other areas that are, technically under Parks' jurisdiction, but either directly adjacent to or within, Nycc campuses. So I'd say we have a very, very close relationship and are always open to exploring, new and additional opportunities. And I'll turn back to the commissioner on the acquisition piece.
Yes, thank you for the question. We certainly are very proud of the Schoolyard to Playground program. We most recently were able to add 11 schoolyards into that program, and we're, throughout our divisions in the Parks Department, even when acquisition is difficult, as was mentioned, we work with our community gardens through our Green Thumb program, and as I previously mentioned, we work with our stewardship program throughout the city to focus on street tree care. So we have a lot of emphasis on programming when we have challenges, perhaps in being able to acquire more open space in dense communities.
Chair, if I may, just one last question. On Intro 577, dense inland community districts in Upper Manhattan are adjacent to park properties with significant acreage, steep terrain, and mature tree cover that could support trail infrastructure. Yet they currently have no formalized, blazed, or mapped trails. How would DPR ensure that inland districts with high population density and limited existing trail access are prioritized under this bill rather than concentrating investment in outer borough parks that already have trail networks?
Thank you for that question. We're very excited to be working across all boroughs, and Manhattan represents some of the best and most beautiful trail systems, trail networks, and we've been working very closely with partners in Highbridge and Inwood and Northern Manhattan to make sure that those trails are formalized, that the networks are available on the website. We're constantly thinking about other ways in which we can get that information to the public more readily through, ultimately, we hope, looking at interactive maps and looking at increasing and improving and standardizing our trail information at entrances to parks. We're very proud of the partnership that we have with the Natural Areas Conservancy, for example, that has allowed us to greatly expand our stewardship and empower community groups and individuals through a program that we call the Path Keepers, that allows us to be able to train and give community groups and individuals access to tools and sort of the techniques and understanding of what's needed to maintain trails. So I think that's something that we're very proud of and that we're looking forward to expand, particularly in Manhattan.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. And we're going to jump to Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you, Chair. I like it when you're like, now we're gonna go to the Bronx. So
I didn't do it this time, but the next hearing.
I will appreciate that forever.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right before I want to acknowledge our Finance Chair, Councilmember Linda Lee.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon to the administration today. So in connection with Intro 740. And identifying the districts with the least green space. I'm not sure where Council District 14 that has community districts 5 and 7 where we rank, but I'm sure we're up there because we're quite dense. And then in connection with the testimony saying that you're considering site acquisitions across the city where to help meet the goal of 85% of New Yorkers reaching a park within walking distance. I want to ask about the 2018 Jerome rezoning. Matt, you might remember, there was a commitment in there to improve access within the Aqueduct Walk to specifically considering reopening of the southern portion of it. There was a CPSD, a capital planning study that was funded to the tune of $10 million within that plan. And I believe we still don't have that planning study. And there have been some complications with Department of Environmental Protection. So just in connection with that commitment that was made in the rezoning, I wanted to ask whether you have a status update about the timeline for the publication of that CPSD. And specifically, there would have to be conversations with property owners whose backyards are adjacent to that public land, that park land there, and whether there have been conversations with the Friends of the Aqueduct, the homeowner association, in connection with increasing park space using that property.
Thank you very much for the question. I'm picturing the location, and it's certainly has huge potential and also very complicated. I regret to say I can't give you an update right at this moment, but I know who can. Probably is trying to text us right now, but I'll be very glad to follow up with you right after the hearing to give you an update on the status of that.
Excellent, thank you. So then a couple of other questions. I have a very beautiful district, but we have like really incredible topography in the West Bronx. We have these hills and these mountains, and we have step streets and all of that. And quite a few of those are parks properties. And so specifically, I have Deacon Landing that is in front, it's on the intersection of Fordham and Sedgwick. So just wondering about the approach to properties like that, whether there's consideration of adding steps to properties that are sort of parkland, but they're on cliffs, to try to increase access. And then just to bundle the rest of my questions together, can you tell us which schoolyards are now parks or where I can see that? And then in your testimony, you also said that the public can report on wildlife sightings, and can you just tell us how?
Thank you for the question. I will comment just generally that we are very aware of challenging access to parks, particularly in the western Bronx and what we think of as the Harlem River watershed, and have been thinking very carefully for really decades, but strategically, increasingly, about where we can achieve more access, but where we can actually seek funding to do some studies and to actually explore sort of the geotechnical and structural issues. And we hope that by learning a little bit more over time, we'll be able to identify where there are places that we can actually scope out a project. And glad to follow up with you on specific locations. Always interested in knowing where the suggestions are.
Deacon Landing and University Woods.
Yes, University was very much in the forefront of our thinking, and really looking forward to hoping to focus on that in the coming years. And I don't have a list right now of the schoolyards and playgrounds closest to you, and very happy to send that to you following the hearing.
And
Although I'll add, I believe they are designated on our website as well, on our playgrounds like subpage. And again, to be clear, these are these are New York City Public Schools properties that they open up outside of school hours, and those are, I think they may be set apart or color coded in a certain way. I can't recall, but they're definitely they are included on our website as well.
Okay, great. And how does the public report on wildlife sightings?
Yes, sorry. So if they can record a sighting through the NYC Wildlife website, and if it is a concern or condition, 311 is the best route for that.
Great, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
All right. We're going to circle back to Councilmember Wong, and then we will, if no other members have questions, then we'll wrap up the agency's portion and go into public testimony.
Thank you, Chair. I have a follow-up. Again, this is about the edits to the Bill 805. And again, the intent and the spirit of the bill is about parks, the cool pavement materials on the parks and playgrounds under the jurisdiction of DPR. And I looked at the edits, and the first edit I'm really having an issue with, that you replace the words parks and playgrounds with pedestrian space. It seemed to me that pedestrian space is so vague, it could be out of the jurisdiction of DPR. And why did you make that? That changes the bill. Why was this edit made?
Thanks for the question, council member. In consultation with our partners at DOT and the law department and the mayor's office, we believe that the direction that the bill should head in is to amplify the work that's already being planned. And we think that there is a lot to be gained and learned from exploring pedestrian spaces, which are paved spaces, very similar to our multi-purpose play areas, to our seating areas, to our, so we believe that there's a lot to be learned. We're happy to work with you and your team on bill language if that could be clarified further. Obviously, in these discussions and negotiations, we're always happy. We want to work closely with you. We understand the spirit of the bill very much. We're very excited about DOT's pilot. We think there's going to be a lot to learn, and if there are ways that we can, work with you to clarify, the types of spaces that DOT will include in their pilot, we're happy to have that discussion in consultation with DOT.
Okay, yeah, and I'm looking at the other edit because you added the word to the DOT program, included the word or DOT, which gives the Parks Department a way out of this for having to do nothing. You just pass the buck to DOT.
Okay.
That's my interpretation of this edit. You're gonna
I
shift
appreciate that,
this
sir.
to the DOT.
As we've made clear, we believe that the bill as it's currently drafted would be a challenge and an inadvisable approach. We do believe that working with the pilot that's already being planned and executed by DOT is the thoughtful approach. If there are ways that we can work with you and our partners at DOT to ensure that more parks-like spaces get considered in their pilot, we're all for that. We can continue those conversations.
Okay, thank you. I have some more time, right? Oh yeah. Okay, I want to get to the wildlife management bill. What do we have a plan on dealing with birds that are either needs rescue if they have a nest on private properties, like the roofs of private buildings, or like private cemeteries? And my second part is, what about like dolphins or whales that are stranded on the beach? I mean, is that something? Does the city have a plan for that, or that's not a Parks Department issue?
I'll start with the second part first, which is that a whale or dolphin that's stranded upon a city beach could very well be a condition that's noted. In my experience, when that does take place, and I believe it's quite uncommon, the animals normally already deceased by that point, I believe, in some cases. But please, please, that'd be great. I don't want to misspeak.
Hi, thank you for your question. Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee, and to respond honestly to council member questions?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
We actually had a whale and a dolphin stranded this week on Rockaway Beach. So it is something that happens, and we do have a plan. We have a response plan that has been for the Parks Department for when that happens on any parks property. And that plan involves securing the area to ensure, and sometimes they are alive, sometimes they're stranded and they're living, often they're dead. But we need to secure the area because the public's very interested, and we want to keep them away from the carcass or the animal for the animal's safety and also for theirs. And then we coordinate with our local and state partners. So we work very closely with the Marine Atlantic Conservation Association in Long Island, and they come out almost immediately to help assess what happened. They've already performed a necropsy, which is looking at the cause of death for the sea whale that was stranded in Rockaway last week. And then we have a plan for either disposal or usually burial. So yes, we have a plan for that. I don't remember what
about like private properties? Like what if we have invasive species in the tree that's in the back of the yard of a private house, the Asian longhorn beetle, for example? We're going to see that again. Or like birds that are injured on the nest that's on the roof of a private property. Can you talk about
Sure.
that?
So the Parks Department specifically oversees and responds to wildlife concerns and inquiry on on Parks Department property. However, we work closely with partners throughout the city to try and answer the public's questions about wildlife, even if it's happening on their own property. If it is on private property, it's the private property owner's responsibility. But we try to provide, because it's seen as unusual in New York City, and someone who owns private property in New York City might not be familiar with where those resources are. We try to work with our other local partners to ensure that there are resources available.
Like
Information
I
about-
have a tree in my yard that was infested with Asian longhorn beetle. When I called the Parks Department years ago, it's not their jurisdiction. So I'm concerned because we will have invasive species and they will kill trees. Do we have a plan for that?
For the trees, for the tree canopy that's under our jurisdiction, which is to say street trees, our natural forests, and parks, there's very much an aggressive, our forestry division, we'd be happy to meet with you and give you a whole briefing. We have a very aggressive approach to making sure that we're fending off tree disease we have foresters and arborists that are keenly focused on that. As noted, if a tree is located on private property, like in a backyard or whatever, that is that property owner's responsibility. But the agency, we like to think of ourselves as a great source of information and guidance. We're always happy to help, when there's concerns, but when a tree is on private property, ultimately it is that property owner's responsibility.
But do you do it rescues if there's an injured bird on the roof of a private property?
So we don't, but we work closely with partners in the city who will either provide information about how to find someone who will. Our animal care and control centers will respond to wildlife issues across the city, so even on private property. But we also work with our local state, with our state Department of Environmental Conservation, and they have a list of private entities that can respond on private property as well. So again, always giving information about where those resources are, but we won't respond to a private property to rescue an animal.
That really enforces the fact that we need a wildlife management plan that covers all the wildlife, not just in Parkland, but the whole city.
And as
including,
I said, yeah, we do coordinate very closely with other agencies throughout the city and with our federal partners and our state partners too. So, we're already doing a lot of coordination that includes working with agencies to address issues that are not parks property.
All right, thank you, Chair. Thank you.
All right. With that, thank you to the Parks Department for joining us today for this hearing. At this time, we're going to go into public testimony. Okay, I now open this hearing for public testimony. I remind members of the public that this is a formal government proceeding, and that decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant at Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out in a appearance card, with the Sergeant at Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topics. Intros 577-740-805 and 806. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant at Arms. With that, we're going to call our first panel. Katie Swab, Gabriel Cummings, Leslie Garcia, Ashley Roloffs, thank you.
Good morning, Chair Hankerson. My name is Katie Swab, and I'm here on behalf of City Parks Foundation.
You just move the microphone just a little closer.
Thank you. We support intro number 740 and commend the Council's multi-agency approach to identifying neighborhoods most lacking in green space and expanding access. This is an important step towards a more equitable park system. Equity means access, but it also depends on how easy we make it for people to engage with the system. Through Partnerships for Parks, we work with roughly 420 grassroots groups caring for parks and open spaces, from large parks to small playgrounds, medians, traffic triangles, and street trees. Doing business with the city is not always easy. We spend a lot of time helping people navigate permits, insurance requirements, and other complexities. Most New Yorkers don't know or care which city agency maintains a public space, be it a sidewalk managed by DOT, a street tree managed by New York City Parks, or a bias wall managed by DEP. They just see this as infrastructure that is part of the neighborhood. But when issues arise, this can create real barriers. Our goal is to make sure community members have the least amount of friction in their dealing with city government. Through the New York City Green Fund, we also provide direct financial support to community groups to build capacity and sustain programming. This work is critical because green space inequity does not happen by accident. It reflects decades of disinvestment due to redlining and other harmful policies, and will require sustained investment in both people and places. The city is already struggling to adequately care for its 30,000 acres of parkland. If we're serious about expanding access to green space, which we should be, we must match that commitment with a fully funded, fully staffed parks department, as well as continued investment in community partners. We urge both the council and the mayor to commit at least 1% of the city budget to parks so we can both sustain the system we have and responsibly grow it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Chair and members of the committee, and thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Ashley Roloffs, and I am representing Trust for Public Land. Trust for Public Land's mission is to connect people to nature, ensuring that everyone, regardless of zip code, has access to the outdoors. Across New York City, we work to expand access to parks, trails, and green space, particularly in neighborhoods that have historically lacked this critical infrastructure. We are here today to express our strong support for the proposed bill number 0577 to create 300 miles of trails across New York City. This bill represents a significant opportunity to create a more connected, equitable, and resilient city. Expanding the city's trail network will improve access to open space, create safer options for walking and biking, and strengthen connections between neighborhoods, transit, parks, and local businesses. We also strongly support Bill number 0740, requiring the Department of Parks and Recreation to identify the community districts with the least access to green space and recommend strategies to address these gaps. This type of data-driven approach is critical to ensuring that future investments are directed to the communities that need them most. The need is especially clear in Queens. 13 of the 20 least parked neighborhoods are in Queens, including communities like Ozone Park and Rego Park. Even where large parks exist, such as Forest Park, safe access can be difficult for those walking or bicycling. This is why projects like the Queensway are so important. The Queensway will transform a 3.5-mile abandoned rail corridor into a trail, bringing green space within walking distance of nearly 245,000 residents and creating safer, more direct access into Forest Park and other neighborhood destinations. The city's investment in the first section, the Metropolitan Hub, is an important step forward and reflects a strong commitment to addressing these disparities. The Queensway demonstrates how strategic investments in trails can help close park access gaps while also improving mobility, public health, and neighborhood connectivity. Thank you for your leadership and your commitment to expanding access to green space for all New Yorkers.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Leslie Garcia, Trail Stewardship Manager for Van Cortlandt Park Alliance, and I'm here to testify on behalf of VCPA's board, staff, and more than 3 million annual park visitors. We thank the City Council Committee on Parks and Recreation and Chair Hankerson for holding this important hearing. Van Cortlandt Park is home to a world-renowned cross-country course which hosts national, regional races and welcomes more than 50,000 permitted runners each year. The course last underwent a capital project in the 1990s, but there was no maintenance funding tied to that project. We are way overdue for another capital project, but if the course had been properly maintained within the last 3 decades, it would be in a much better shape today. This is an ongoing issue with all of our parks. With exciting capital projects, we get beautiful new playgrounds, fields, and basketball courts, which quickly degrade because there is not enough staff or funding to care for them. Van Cortlandt Park has 20 miles of trails that have suffered from years of neglect because there isn't enough staff or vehicles to carry out trail maintenance. In the 2 years that I've been working in this capacity, I've begun to implement regular maintenance of the trails, working with a seasonal crew of 4 people and a handful of regular volunteers. VCPA has received positive feedback from the community and the cross-country runners on the improved conditions of the trails. Even though the city cannot keep up with the parks that it has, the council continues to introduce new initiatives that will add more responsibilities to a dramatically underfunded agency. In theory, Intro 577 is a great idea, but we can't help but wonder how it could possibly work when the preliminary budget for New York City parks is $33 million less than last year's adopted budget. How can New York City parks be asked to do so much more when the budget is lower than last year? Along the same lines, Intro 740 and T 2026 1506 and 1507 are great ideas, but how will they be implemented? New York City Parks has lost 700 positions in the last years, yet year after year, New York City Park staff does more with less. The staff is already stretched too thin, and we are frustrated. All these new requirements have merit, but the mayor and the city council need to work together to figure out how to properly fund New York City parks and fulfill the most basic needs. Thank you, and happy trails.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Gabriel Cummings, Training Manager for the Urban Path Program at the Natural Areas Conservancy. Thank you, Chair Hankerson, and to the committee. I've submitted written comments that outline NAC's feedback on Intro 577 and Intro 806. NAC supports the intent of these two proposed pieces of legislation and offers feedback that will help strengthen the impact of these bills. On Earth Day 2023, my Parks Trail colleague Isaac and I had the opportunity to work alongside then Mayor Eric Adams to construct a puncheon over a flooded trail at Alley Pond Park in Queens. This symbolic gesture was the conclusion of the mayor's Earth Day press conference to announce a historic $2.4 million in baseline funding to create 26 new New York City Parks trail positions. This was a significant win for NAC and our parks colleagues who'd finally have the in-house capacity needed to fully care for our 300-mile nature trail network. We advocated for this investment in our 2020 Strategic Trails Plan for New York City report. This funding allocation was also named a key priority in the 2023 Plan YC Getting Sustainability Done report. Parks was in the process of actively recruiting, interviewing, preparing candidates for offers for the team when the mayor announced citywide budget cuts that impacted every agency in November of 2023. The promised funding has yet to be restored. I was just out in Pelham Bay Park this week installing a check step to mitigate erosion on a steep trail. Well-managed trails are safer for public use, help protect ecosystems by reducing fragmentation and preserving fragile habitat. With just 3 full-time and 4 seasonal trail team members, our parks colleagues had limited capacity to ensure 300 miles of trails are actively managed and improved. As the committee considers today's legislation, we urgently ask that the council ensures this funding is included in the FY27 budget. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize the mic wasn't on. My apologies. Tony Simone, Kathy Nazari, Tina Pina, and Patricia Trisha.
Good afternoon, Parks Chair Hankerson, committee members, and Council Member Wong. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today in support of 806. And I just wanted to really quickly say that we support all 4 bills, but I'm here talking about 806. I'm Kathy Nazari, founder and chair of Lights Out Coalition, representing 60 organizations and experts united to protect the hundreds of species who call New York City home or rely on it as a critical stopover. Urban wildlife plays an essential role in our ecosystem, and their survival is directly tied to our own. Yet wildlife in our city faces constant human-driven threats: artificial light disorientation, building collisions, rodenticide poisoning, illegal fishing practices, and too often bicycle and vehicle strikes, and too often outright cruelty. Our rescuers witness the grisly consequences every day. To be clear, this is not a wildlife problem. It is a human problem, and it is solvable. Right now, responsibility is fragmented across agencies and approaches are inconsistent, outdated, non-existent, or unenforced. Intro 806 is a turning point. It establishes a board of experts to guide humane, science-based practices and brings coordination, accountability, and compassion into how New York City supports wildlife. We know humane solutions work. While traditional methods have failed for decades, a rat contraception pilot program led by Councilmember Sean Abreu and Lights Out achieved a 60% reduction in just weeks without killing a single animal. This is the kind of progress we should be scaling. Intro 806 creates a framework for long-term protection of biodiversity, public health, and the values of our city. It is our sincere desire that implementation will lead to the eventual creation of a Department of Wildlife Protection to ensure ongoing and future success. And we respectfully ask the word management be replaced by support. We support all today's.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to cut you off. We're out of
I
time.
just want to say thank you.
Okay.
that was the end. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
And we are happy to be a resource for you.
Thank you so much for your advocacy.
Excuse my laryngitis. I'm Margaret Lee, but I'm reading for Tina Pena, who couldn't be here today. I'm a member of Lights Out Coalition. Intro 0806 is extremely important for the protection of our wildlife in this city. As of now, there are no resources for them. The designer trees and sculptured fountains do not provide sustenance. When we ignore and mistreat our wildlife, we show the world we are heartless. One big misconception is that the animals do just fine without our help. As we can all see, the creatures struggle to survive. There are many ways to make it much better for them. The activists are here to help. I look forward to a beautiful city where everyone is cared for, where animals thrive, as well as the people. Thank you.
I'm here to represent the extensive opposition to the $37.5 million renovation of the Vale of Kashmir in Prospect Park. Opposition from the birdwatching community. This is a terrible waste of money. There are two parts to the Vale, upper, the Rose Garden, and lower, the pond. As someone who is a regular visitor to the lower part of the Vale of Kashmir, I have never met anyone who is in favor of this plan. The lower part of the Vale is a major stop for migrating birds. The Vale is secluded, has water, and is blocked from the wind. We feel it is perfect as it is. When it was built in the 19th century, there were many areas of seclusion in Prospect Park. This is no longer the case. Until now, the Vale has been a refuge for both birds and writers who go there to work. This $37 million plus project, plus possible overruns, to make the Vale more accessible, including skateboarders and bikes, will destroy this once peaceful sanctuary that we value so highly. And the destruction has already started, but I propose that it is scaled back or stopped. Thank you.
Let me move the girl with the crutches. Sorry, Kathy. Hi, I'm Patricia Tristan, and I'm just a civilian. And I didn't write anything. I have no idea why I feel so emotional. So I've been a New Yorker since 1980, and I've lived a block from the Tompkins Square Park in the East Village since '93. So I've watched that park go from being a dust bowl to being a beautiful park filled with flowers. And I started being self-employed about 15 years ago, which gave me a lot of time to start going to the park. And with the new, in 2016, my stress levels went up a lot, so I spent a lot of time in the park, and then during COVID also. And, you know, when I was younger, I couldn't because you're just not left alone if you're a young woman sitting in a park by yourself. But I aged that out, so now I can enjoy it. And what I found is like now I'm probably that crazy squirrel lady, but I know many crazy squirrel ladies and men that go to the park. Like there's a whole community of people. And there have been like days where the weather has been so horrible where trees are breaking down and I'll just think, oh my God, all the wildlife out there. And I'll go to the park and some neighbor has put an apple under every tree. You know, like people get so involved. Like I really believe that the wildlife touches so many people. And when I'm out there and I'm, you know, I'll bring water in the summer because with climate change, with, you know, just the consequences rising, I saw 3 squirrels that were just dead, that just dropped dead out of a tree from heat stroke probably last summer. So I started bringing water in containers a couple times a day to the park and people would see me and I saw them start to bring water for the animals. And like when it's winter and we had all this snow and animals and birds couldn't get to anything, you know, a few of us started like knocking the snow off the trees so there'd be branches for the birds. And then other people saw it and they started to do it. And there's something very contagious about a community coming together to enjoy and protect the wildlife. And children see it and they ask questions and they want to be part of it. And I just think it's so important to have an advisory board that can expand on things because I've talked to Harvey Epstein before about like the hand fireworks after and around the 4th of July scaring the hawks and the hawks dying hitting windows and how there's just not enough resources and not enough ranger hours in the park to protect even the juvenile hawks when they come down from people letting dogs into that park. So I just think it's so important to have this advisory board.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony, your advocacy. Thank you. We're going to call our final panel. We're going to take a 2-minute intermission. All right, we're going to call our final panel. Jordan Wong, Margaret Lee, Lisa Curtis, and then we'll jump to Zoom. All righty, you may begin.
Hello, my name is Lisa Curtis, and I am here really just as a civilian who cares deeply about our natural world in the city. I must say it's really inspiring and heartening to hear the council and the Parks Department's passion and care for green space and our environment in the city. My concerns are related to Bill 740, 806, 805, to cooling, equity, wildlife protection in my neighborhood. I live near Prospect Park, Mount Prospect Park, and the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, and I've become very concerned about the amount of build happening in parks in my neighborhood, which to me seem to lessen access and availability of green space and natural space in our neighborhood for us and for wildlife. For example, as Tony referred to in Prospect Park, the quote-unquote restoration of the Vale of Kashmir in Rose Garden seems unnecessarily destructive. It seems like too much build. If we need a built environment, we have, the city in general. There's a building, there's a pergola, there's trellis, and the timing seems very inconsiderate of wildlife. It's right smack dab in the middle of spring migration. A lot of habitat has been destroyed, and that seems to me like just opposed to some of the concerns that the council has expressed regarding care for our wildlife. Green space, as you have all apparently also deeply know, is an incredibly precious rarity in New York City. Preserving and creating habitat is crucial. It has 2 to 3 times the impact for wildlife and for their health as it does other places, because if a bird comes to New York City, they have no place other to go than these tiny little islands. I'm also concerned about a build happening in Mount Prospect Park. There's a plan to put 20,000 square feet of concrete in that park. I mean, the end goal of creating a skate facility is wonderful, but I don't understand why it's cited in a green space. Once that land is paved, it's lost forever. There's going to be, costing $11 million, and there's not going to be $11 million 20 years from now to take that concrete back out again if we want that green space back. It just seems to me ridiculous. There's got to be a paved space, and we need to preserve the land. Once that land is paved, its absorbency, its functionality, its ability to be green space is lost for forever. I don't understand how
I'm
that
sorry, I'm going to
is
have to stop
justified.
you there, but thank you so much for your testimony.
Okay. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak, and again, I appreciate your passion and your concern.
Thank you.
I'm Margaret Lee with Lights Out Coalition, supporting Intro 806. Sorry about the laryngitis. As an observant New Yorker and animal lover, I notice many things others miss. As I walk along our city streets, I see hazards everywhere. I see the dangers to our city's wildlife, the everyday things humans do that threaten their existence. I'm not able to walk by obliviously. When I see a creature suffering and in need, I see a crisis I must find a way to relieve. Almost all my sad observations, and they are most always sad, I have to respond to alone because our city largely doesn't care. That is the tragic reality, a reality that hurts us as a city and as individuals. We're a city dominated by human self-absorption, too busy and uncaring to notice the pigeon drinking from a puddle of toxic waste, struggling to eat a crumb of discarded pizza crust, a rock-hard chunk of bagel. The starving rat scurrying frantically in sewers and garbage, searching for anything edible. The squirrel begging for a nut. A frail bird fallen from a glaringly reflective window, barely alive, usually not alive, on the unforgiving sidewalk below. I notice all manner of strings casually dropped, entangling the feet of pigeons, leading them to get caught in branches, wires, netting, decorations, where they hang to starve to death. If they manage to avoid hanging, they lose feet to the tightening of the threads, hairnets, dental floss, dropped everywhere by slobs. My primary enforced exercise is constantly bending to pick up such stuff, bringing it home to cut finely and vacuum to keep it out of any future circulation to harm. My list of animal concerns is long, including my devoted feeding of approximately 800 birds every day. As a senior citizen, this is hard, costly, and sometimes dangerous, involving lugging heavy bags of seed up 3 flights of stairs. I also have to contend with many humans who object to non-human animals having anything at all to eat or drink. But I can't look away, which is why I support Intro 806 for city wildlife protection. And I'm grateful to all who support it.
Thank you. Thank you for your advocacy and your vigilance. Thank you. We're going to turn to the Zoom room, to which you'll hear from Adita Burnkrant.
Time starts now.
Good afternoon, Chair Henkerson, and thank you to the Parks Committee for hearing these important bills today. My name's Adita Burnkrant, and I'm the Executive Director of Nycc, a nonprofit animal protection organization and a proud member of the Lights Out Coalition. I'm here in strong support of Intro 806, and I thank Councilmember Phil Wong for introducing this much-needed legislation to create a citywide wildlife management plan. And I also support all of the other bills on the agenda. I'm a proud Queens resident, an avid park goer, and a birder. One of the things I love most about living in Queens is our absolutely incredible parks. And in fact, Jamaica Bay Wildlife Refuge in Queens is truly the crown jewel of birding in our city. And these spaces should be a haven for both people and wildlife. But too often, my park visits turn into emergency situations. I encounter animals in serious distress, birds entangled in fishing line, that have swallowed hooks, swans with fishing hooks lodged in their bodies, turtles whose mouths are impaled with barbed hooks. These are gruesome and preventable injuries that are often fatal. And I also regularly see domestic birds dumped in parks, left to suffer and unable to survive. This is happening across the city at parks. The root problem is a lack of enforcement of laws. People fish without licenses, hooks and lines are left behind in the water or all over, turning our parks into dangerous traps, also for dogs and even children. And citizen rescuers are overwhelmed, responding to these situations every day, often with limited resources, trying to save animals in often impossible situations. So we need a more hands-on approach with park rangers and real enforcement of existing laws. Fishing licenses are required, but it's never checked. Rules around the fishing is just anything goes. We also need stronger public education and signage because too often well-meaning
Time
people...
expired.
Okay. I just wanted to say that the bill to create a wildlife management program would give the structure for everyone to do better. And our parks should be true oases for both residents and wildlife, and families come to experience nature, not to witness suffering. And I strongly urge the committee to pass Intro 806. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Given all public testimony has been heard, the Parks and Recreation Committee hearing of April 1st, 2026 on the Council's Earth Day package bills is adjourned.